Hey everybody, it's Dr. Eric Walcavage. We're back for another edition of the Thyroid Answers Podcast, and we're going back to basics here today. We're going to talk about some of the foundational things that you need to do. Don't involve supplements. You don't need to do any lab testing. These are just foundational things you need to do to improve your thyroid physiology and improve your health in general. And to discuss this, I brought back my friend, my co-author, Dr. Kelly Halderman. Hey, Kelly, how are you today?
I'm excellent, Eric. Thank you so much for having me back.
All Absolutely. Right. We should have you back on here more.
All right.
So I get the question all the time, like, okay, what can I do to start improving my thyroid physiology? Do I need more T3? Do I need more T4? Do I need to take a certain supplement? And the reality is that people are so busy sometimes trying to find the secret solution, jumping over dollar bills to pick up pennies, that they miss some of these key foundational concepts that you have to have as the foundation to rebuild and restore your health. And so to me, these are like non-negotiable things that you have to be doing on a regular basis. So, and I kind of talk about this on podcasts. Previously, I talk about it to some degree on my Thyroid Thursdays, but these foundational things are, if you don't have these, you can't, all the other things you try, maybe temporary help, maybe some management, but it's never going to allow for full recovery because you don't have a good foundation to stand on. And these are things that we, without a doubt, I'm repeating myself, but without a doubt, have to be part of the priority to get somebody better. Tell me your thoughts.
100%. You cannot skip over these and look for the new magical supplement or gadget that the influencer is telling you that completely changed their lives and they're amazing now. And although we as humans are very lazy and we want the easy fix, we really do. It's just part of our human nature, unfortunately. But what we find is that when they negate these core foundational factors, you just end up having to go back to them. So you know what? It's like, if you're going to have to go back to them eventually, and all those things are just going to waste money and waste time, let's get them right away. And then we can continue to have these great foundations throughout our entire life that we've built. So I'm right there with you, Eric.
So the 5 foundational factors that we're going to talk about are: 1, mindset fitness; 2, your habitual fitness, what you do every day; your dietary fitness, your physical fitness, and sleep fitness. Those are kind of the foundational things. And I think I have them in the order, to me, for priority. Do you think that these are, and I don't think it doesn't really matter. You got to work on all of them incrementally, but do you think they should be in a different order that somebody attacks them, or it doesn't really matter? You just got to do these things initially.
I would say you nailed the order, because mindset really trumps everything. When you think about your self-talk, your core belief system, the lens with which you interpret your life, like your mindset, it shapes how you react to stress, how you view your symptoms. Is my body broken versus is it adapting to a stress? And my body's very intelligent. And it's like, do you believe that healing is possible for you? That's part of your mindset. Or I'm always sick, I'll always be sick. And then that really defines your daily habits of that mindset. So I would put that number 1 all day long. And then number 2, of course, your habits, because you got to get the right mindset, and then you have to put rubber to the road. You really need to make sure that your habits, that what you're doing on a daily basis, is in line with what you want your outcome to be. And it's a quote by James Nestor, who wrote the book on habits, was, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So first you got to get the right mindset, then you got to get those habits in. And then, so I guess with dietary fitness, I would put that as a tie with sleep. Maybe these 2 are kind of like second place, right? Where you have your diet has to be on point to be able to sleep well. And if you're not sleeping well, your blood sugar is going to be a mess the next day. Plenty of studies show that. And then you're not gonna be able to exercise. So those 3, really, I see those absolutely important, but we have to get those two, the mindset and habitual fitness. So we got to get those on point first.
Yeah. And so we'll start with mindset fitness, and we'll kind of talk about this in some depth, and then we'll just kind of move through each one of them and talk about the importance of each, and then we'll give you some kind of strategies. Even we have, I've got some tools that may be helpful that we can get to the listeners as well. So let's start with mindset fitness. I don't know what the actual definition is, but my definition for this is the level to which you encounter life's experiences and convert them into positive experiences that improve your resilience and adaptability to survive and thrive. Now, somebody's going to say, what do you mean turn them into positive experiences? My dog died. Like, how is that ever a positive experience? But like, things happen to us, right? And it's not about the thing that's happening. It's really about how we perceive it and use that, right? So if my dog dies, yeah, I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to be upset about it. But I can also look at that and say, you know what? That dog gave me so many good years and so much joy and so much hope, and think and focus about all the good that came out of it versus my dog died. I'm miserable. I'll never have another dog. I'm never going to be happy again. And so to me, it's not about not having stress. It's not about not making mistakes. It's not about having setbacks. It's about using what happens, having your kind of temporary pity party if you need one, and then using it as a tool to launch yourself forward. What are your thoughts about that definition? Would you change it? Do you like a different idea or definition of it?
No, I like that. I think it's to the point, and it hits home how important and critical it is that we're empowered, right? It puts the power back to the person instead of trying to give that away and put, your diagnosis is on your doctor, or this person didn't do this. It's like bringing it for you to understand that you have a choice at how you look at things and how you react to things. And then you can tie that in with the physiology and how our body is responding. So our thoughts really, there's, such thing as the placebo effect, right? So I've learned about that in medical school. And so mindset does drive your physiological responses. I do this with my kids all day long. Sorry, kids, but I'll be like, take this, if they're not feeling the best, like take this pill. It's going to make you feel amazing. Everything's going to be good to go. And it might even, it might be something that literally, like, I don't really think it's going to make them, but it's that thought process of like how you can reshape everything that's happening to you. And studies show that people with an optimistic mindset, they have lower levels of inflammatory cytokines. They have higher immune cell resistance. So it's like, this is really key. It's really key. And I think that your definition is spot on.
Yeah. And there was a gentleman, Bruce Lipton, who wrote, the biology of belief, that, hey, what you believe is likely going to create your reality, right? If you believe you're going to be sick, you're going to be sick. If you believe you're going to be healthy, you're more likely to be healthy. It doesn't mean that you can believe you're healthy and then not do all the things that are going to make you unhealthy, right? But we have to keep that context, and we talk about that context, and you already mentioned it in regard to thyroid physiology. A lot of people are told you have hypothyroidism, your glands being destroyed, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to be on thyroid medication for the rest of your life. And if you go into how do I get healthy or how do I get better with that belief process that my gland's destroyed, it can't recover, then there's no way you're going to recover. And the strategies that you're going to accept for treatment are going to be ones that prevent you from ever recovering because they're suppressing the gland's ability to recover. The same is true when we think about a lot of times when people say, well, you have an immune condition or an autoimmune condition where your immune system is attacking your tissue, or your immune system doesn't recognize your thyroid gland anymore. So it's attacking it as a foreign thing and there's nothing you can do. It's not true. Right. So, I've been doing this 30 years. I've had my own experiences with immune issues and autoimmune issues. And what I've seen over that time frame is that thyroid conditions can recover immune conditions can go into remission. Okay. But definitely you have to have the mindset that my body is not attacking me. My body is trying to protect me from something. I just got to identify what those things are. And if I can reduce or eliminate those things, then the danger physiology goes away. And now my body can start the recovery process to heal and repair. But a lot of people do, hey, I did a 12-week detox process for my gut. And I was better when I did it, but then when I stopped doing it, now all my signs and symptoms are back. My doctor is terrible. No, your doctor wasn't terrible, but the challenge is you were thinking that I want to make sure I'm going in the right direction with this process. Is that I'm going to stop that part. I'll save that for later, but
Okay.
I don't know where I was headed with that, and I'm going to pause with that. I meant to do something. I kind of lost it in a moment, but I'll just kind of say this: that the mindset piece is the key. And especially when it comes to thyroid physiology, it's more adaptive than broken for most people. And when it comes to the immune system isn't attacking you for no apparent reason. It's usually trying to protect you from something. And what we need to do is identify those factors and address them. And then recovery is possible.
100%. And it's really tough, Eric, because I have been the patient where I was told your body is attacking itself, your body is attacking your brain, which really gets your attention, right? So when I was told that I had the beginning of multiple sclerosis, it was, we're really sorry. And, you're for some odd reason, we have no idea, but it's, your myelin sheath's being degraded. You're probably going to end up in a wheelchair. And it's almost like people who are going to that traditional allopathic care, your doctor, again, doesn't know any better. That is what they are taught. We are not taught to look for the etiology. And so you get that put on you. And what Dr. Eric and I are saying is that that's just because, unfortunately, they're ignorant to the fact that, and we're trying to bring awareness, Eric does a great job, bring awareness that there indeed is a cause. Your body is not broken. Your body was designed to heal. If you cut your finger, how are you going to stop that finger from healing? Or does it just heal? It just heals. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, put on any extra medicine or anything like that, unless it's infected, and then see your doctor if it's infected. But I'm just saying that was one of the realizations that I had, was that, wait a minute, my body was designed to heal. There aren't any mistakes. I don't have to tell my mitochondria to make ATP. I don't have to tell my heart to beat. There is something inherently going on in my body where it wants to stay alive. And if I shift my mindset from I am broken, my thyroid is falling apart because we don't know. If I shift that to there is a reason, and there is a darn good reason, and we are going to figure out that reason and honor the body. Thank you, body, for putting these antibodies in here, for alerting me that I have to change something for a positive. So right, Eric, 100%, just take that and shift that mindset and just see how much better you will feel mentally and emotionally when you don't look at yourself as broken.
Yeah. And so I know where I was going with that statement with the, with the 12 things. So like if we're in an adaptive response, right? I'm perceiving cell stress. My cells are perceiving stress. We're having this adaptive change in our physiology. We're slowing down normal metabolism and ramping up the defense. Part of that downregulation of the physiology is a downregulation of the less important systems within the cell and the less important systems overall. We don't just turn off gut physiology or turn off hormone production, but we don't do those things as good. We're putting more energy somewhere else. And many times gut dysfunction can be a root issue, like a root problem, but more often it's the result of adaptive physiology, right? If I'm running from the proverbial tiger, I'm increasing energy to brain, energy to muscle. I got to run, I got to think, I got to figure it out, right? So we do get common symptoms. I have insomnia, right? Or I'm not going to go to sleep, so I'm like alert. And then somebody says, why can't I have why do I have insomnia? Well, because your brain is in threat mode. It's not going to go to sleep because you could get eaten by that tiger. But all these systems get downregulated, and somebody does a 12-week protocol, right, and for their gut, and it manages their signs and symptoms temporarily. But then when they're done taking all these supplements and the signs and symptoms come back, they think the doctor's bad or the supplements don't work. And my point is that no, your body is still in adaptive physiology. It's just because you did a gut protocol and you wanted it to work to restore your gut. If it had, great, maybe the gut was the primary issue at the moment that needed to be addressed. It was driving a lot of the stress response, but many times it's the result, the gut dysfunction is a result of downregulation of digestive capacities due to this cell stress response. And so just because you take stuff doesn't mean it's going to fix it. You have to be in the right state for healing to occur. We talked about the cell danger response, Dr. Robert Navio's paper, and there's different phases there, right? There's phase one where we're kind of in this fight or flight and trying to deal with this thing. And then there's a recovery phase, but many people, they get kind of stuck through the process. They don't get all the way to a healing response, but you have to reduce that stress response on your physiology so you can even start a proper recovery program before you can we can restart cell to cell communication. And so I think it's an important thing for people to understand. We're talking about mindset, but we're also talking about when we're thinking about the mindset of how the body's working, it's not really attacking us. It's trying to protect us. And if things don't work the way you want them to, it's probably because your physician thinks you're in homeostasis and you're not. And so those strategies work for management when you're in this kind of fight or flight system, but you got to take a bunch of stuff to kind of manage the signs and symptoms, drugs, supplements, whatever. Once you reduce that excessive cell stress and the body gets that sense, a danger's averted, I can start to go into healing. This is when those protocols really work the best. And then you start to see continual recovery, and then you can come off this, hey, I don't need lifetime gut support because my physiology has restored to homeostasis. You agree with those?
Yep. Spot on.
All right. So from a kind of helping from a tools perspective, I have a questionnaire that we'll make accessible to people who want it. And we'll put a link underneath the video where they can just request. So we'll have the information under where the podcast is, and you can just request some of these questionnaires so you can better assess your level of fitness in some of these categories. But what are some tools that you see work really effectively for you and maybe others that help people raise their level of mindset fitness?
Right. So when we think of my mindset, it can feel like a little bit of lying to ourselves too. Like, everything's great. It's like Pollyanna, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to take everything that's bothering me and I'm going to flip. And they feel like that's not realistic. That's not real life. Because like you said, there are stresses that can come in, and they can be stresses, of course. Like life, there's a lot of suffering, right? There is a lot of suffering. But I think that really good tools to have in your toolkit for mindset is what are you feeding yourself other than food? Like what are you consuming that's not food that may throw your mindset off? So I'm very careful with going down the rabbit hole of some social media and some other things that may just pull my mindset off. I like to have time for just breathing exercises and things that like center me. And so journaling helps. So I can have people journal and have people, gratitude journals are great. And just try to see the good things that are happening, because we kind of are inundated with negativity. I think that another thing to have in your toolkit for mindset are people around you. You are more like the 5 people that you're closest to than any other people. So really having people around you that support you and that aren't bringing you down. I think that is really one of the important things too, is just to have a really strong supportive base of, again, friends, anything content that's coming at you. And that'll help like keep that mindset positive and moving in, again, the right direction. What about you?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of different techniques. For me personally, and I still recommend these ideas. When we're talking about mindsets, like what's going on between the 6 inches of your ears, and what are you thinking? How are you interpreting? But what goes on between the 6 inches of your ears, what you're thinking about consciously or subconsciously, really is the thing you've got to control. And a lot of times we don't really recognize that we have a lot of negative self-talk, or we're sabotaging ourselves. So I think one of those things is to be aware. And if you know that you have a lot of negative self-talk, then it's great. The questionnaire may help the listeners out to understand, hey, where is my level of mindset fitness? Am I at the higher end? Am I at the lower end? But once you realize that, hey, it's on a 0 to 10 scale. So if you're in the 8 to 10 out of 10, you're probably in pretty good shape in that fitness factor. If you're below that, you probably need to do some work. And some of the strategies that I like is I used to wear a rubber band, or like a dirty rubber band around my wrist, like that comes with the mail. And originally, if I had a lot of negative thinking, I would just snap that rubber band, right? And because it would, that would just kind of snap me out of it. And a little pain, I guess, helped. After a while, I didn't need to snap it anymore. All I had to do was look at the rubber band, think about I got to kind of change my mindset and change the perspective on things. So that was one tool. But I think you need some type of anchor that you can kind of look at and focus on and kind of remind yourself what's going on in my head. The rubber band for me was one thing. The other thing I did was I used to carry around like a clown foam nose. And I heard a story from a speaker at a Rotary meeting about, she had gone to, she was supposed to come to Philly and speak, and her daughter really wanted to go to the carnival or the circus. And so instead of flying out the night before, she said, I'll go with my daughter and I'll fly out in the morning. Well, of course, she flew out in the morning. Philly traffic was crazy. Flight was delayed. Philly traffic was crazy. She missed the meeting and didn't get the job. But she said when she reached into her purse as she was stuck in the traffic looking for a phone, she found the foam nose, and she was all pissed and frustrated. She put that foam nose on and kind of just looked in the mirror at herself and started laughing. Like, what am I getting upset about? The time with my daughter is precious, and I'll never get that back. I can always get another business contract, another speaking engagement. And it was a really cool story. But then she went on to say, as she looked out of the corner of her eye, there was a woman who was in the car next to her who was like staring at her like she was crazy. And as she turned over, she like gave the woman like and kind of like gave weird faces at her. And since she reached over to smack at her husband, the husband looked over, and when the husband looked over, she took her nose off and just kind of sat there. And so then she could see out the corner of her eye, she's trying to explain to her husband what was going on, and the husband just kind of blew her off and kept driving. And then the woman turned to look at her, and she had the nose back on, and she just tormented this woman on and off as they're stuck in traffic and going. And she said, it just changed my perspective. So at one point I was speaking at a local junior high school, and I would do that talk every year on that topic and pass out like thousands of foam noses to these kids. And, it turned out to be like a real story for me, because I was dealing with, I had a new client, husband and wife came in to the office, and we started talking about what his challenges and struggles were. And then he saw the foam nose sitting on my desk, and he goes, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "Oh, I do a talk at the junior high, and I give these out to all the kids and do a story." He goes, "You're that guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And he told me the story that he was a police officer, high stress, coming home, his son was kind of a smart aleck, right? And giving his mom a hard time, and mom's and him are arguing, and the dad came in, and the dad just he said he lost it. Like he'd had a really terrible week, and he said he was getting up, going over to get, to whack his kid. And the kid knew he was coming, and when he put his head down, he must have put the clown nose on. And when he came up, like it broke the moment, right? Broke the tension.
Yeah, what's going on?
Everybody cried, everybody laughed. And he's like, that nose like really helped like their family situation. So you just need an anchor. It doesn't need to be a clown nose. It doesn't need to be a rubber band, but you have to have something that when that stinking thinking is going on, that you can look at or you can reach for, that helps you refocus yourself, right? So initially, if you need it, get something, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to change your state. Tony Robbins talks about that all the time. Like you have to change your state. You have to change your state. And it's hard unless you have some type of an anchor to help you. What's my state? Like if you see the rubber band on your wrist, you're going to go, hey, what's going on with my mind? Like, what am I thinking about? Or, hey, I see the clown nose. Am I having fun? Am I stressed about things I can't control? Right. I think you just need some type of an anchor. It could be one of those silly little eraser things with the hair sticking up that's on the back of your pen or something. I don't know. But I think it's good to have an anchor. Another thing I think that helps with mindset is, and we'll talk about habits, but is kind of setting a plan for the day. And I think a lot of people go through the day and like, today sucked, right? Like it sucked. This went wrong, that went wrong. But I think you kind of have to set the intention for what a good day is, so that your mind feels like you won the day, right? So if you don't plan the day and stuff is just happening to you and there's a lot of bad stuff, then yeah, I could see where you might struggle with your mindset. But I like to set my priorities for the day. Here's the 3 big things I need to get accomplished today. And I don't, those are the priorities. If I just get 2 of those 3 things done, I won, right? I won. It was a great day. Yeah, this went wrong, that went wrong, that went wrong. Yeah, but those were external to what my priorities were. My priorities for today was this, this, and this. And I got all of them done, or I got 3 of them done. I won the day. Yeah, but what about this? This didn't get done with it. You're never done. Right? You're never done. I have this conversation with people all the time. Like, I just can't get finished. When are you going to be finished? When? You could clean out your email and 2 minutes later, it's got 80 more emails in there, right? You're never done. You're never done with the text messages. You're never done with patients sending you questions. You're never, ever done. Well, I'll do it when I get the house finished. The house is never done, right? It's never done. So you just have to set the priorities of what's important to you for the day. And I like just 3, not more than that. Here's my key 3 priorities. If you want to have more, great, but make sure you tackle the first 3, win 2 of them, and then you can add something else back. But you always want to be, in my mindset, because I always want to be more than 50%. As long as I'm over 50%, I won the day. It's a successful day. That's how I look at things. Journaling, I think, can be great, right? To write stuff down. I think, and I'm missing the term right now, but where we write down like, I will be a success, or like what
affirmations?
Affirmations. So journaling, I think, is really good. Kind of write down the story and what we want to do and what we want to accomplish, and kind of put your thoughts, things that are going through your mind on paper. And then you can start to ask yourself questions like, is that a reality? Is that really important? So I think journaling is important. Affirmations can be a good thing, but I think people have to be very cautious of how they write their affirmations, because people write, I am a success, and they're not, right, at the moment, right? Or I am the best doctor in the world, and they're not, right? So it's nice to say those things, but at some point, I think your subconscious says, you're a liar, right? You're continuing to lie to me. I am healthy. No, well, you're not. So I am on the road to recovery. That would be a good affirmation, right? I'm doing things incrementally, to restore my health and recover my health or my relationships, right? I am starting to work out and I'm going to continue to progress towards a habit of exercise. I think we got to be very careful with those, because I know, because I did it, I'd write these things because that's what somebody said to do, these affirmations. Like, you got to tell yourself who you are, who you want to be, but you can't lie to yourself either. I think that creates inner turmoil. So I'd say those are some key components to improving your mindset fitness. A, you got to know where you're at. That's why the purpose of the questionnaire. And then two, you've got to use some strategies to say, okay, if this is where I am from a mindset thing, let me try some incremental strategies to see if I can raise my mindset, my level of mindset fitness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good with that one?
Yep.
All right. So let's talk habitual fitness. Definition: the level to which your habits support your ability to adapt, self-manage, survive, and thrive in your environment. Any changes we need to make to that one?
That sounds great.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit, but why do you think having good habits is so important to recover your health and your thyroid physiology? And I mean, why is it important? Because people are like, what's the big deal? I can take all the supplements in the world, but there's something about habits that define us. So I'm going to let you take that one.
Yeah, I think James Nestor, he said, who wrote the amazing book on habits, he said, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. So he also said something about you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. So it's like you can have this pie in the sky goal, like I'm going to run a marathon. But if you don't have the systems in place every day to get you there, that's just a pipe dream, right? And so is recovering your health, especially your thyroid health. So if you don't have the structure and the discipline to get the habits in place, then it's very hard to get to the end goal, right? So I see habits as a huge hack in my life. I love biohacking, but really implementing habits, it frees up brain space for me, because if I just know, if I have my day planned out, if I have what I'm going to do on a daily basis, and I like to couple things a lot. So brushing my teeth, I stand on one foot. I got that from Dr. Vonda Wright, but I'm working on my balance, or I'm coupling things together so that I don't have to think about them. And then it becomes something where it's not something that you have to allot all this brain power and all this energy. It's just they're built into your days. Like, here's the time of day that I exercise. Here are the days I do this weight training on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do my, HIIT workouts after that. And then I do my zone 2 on these days. And I'm not thinking about it. And then I can't let myself off the hook. If these are my habits, these are my habits. These are just what I'm doing. And so I think with habits, and I bet you'll agree, Eric, is that you have to get really clear. The habits need to be defined, and they need to be, again, written out so that you know that when it's this time at this part of the day, set your alarm on your phone, and this is what I'm going to do. So like every 45 minutes, I set my phone timer so that I'm doing 20 just squats. I'm just doing with my body weight squats, and I'm jumping 5 minutes on my trampoline with my weighted vest. And so it's like, that's just what I do. That's just what I do, right? And there's just so many other things. It's like, if you can remember to brush your teeth twice a day, you're already doing a habit. You're already doing something that's so positive for yourself. So although it seems daunting, it actually ends up being very freeing for me, and I think for other people, to have those in place. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think your habits define who you are. They define where your health is, your relationships, your level of physical fitness. Like it defines them, right? So one of the things I kind of distinguish habits and behaviors, right? So habits are something that is done, you do consciously, subconsciously, day in, day out. They're like non-negotiables. You just do them. If you're a behavior is something you do periodically, but it's not a habit. So if we were thinking about exercise, like 5:15 to 5:30, I'm up, and my wife and I are down in our gym, right? It's there's no discussion. It's like we get up, yeah, I'm tired too. Yeah, dog had us up last night. Okay. And then we go down, right? And it's organized. Like Monday is right now, like, and I write out every time we change the protocol. It's written on the whiteboards in the basement. So right now we're on kettlebell complexes. So Monday's a kettlebell complex, Tuesday's yoga, Wednesday's kettlebell complex, Thursday's yoga, right? So all alternating through the week. There's, and in all nose lift days when I'm done, I do inversion. I do inversion every day, actually, when we're done. And then on a couple days a week, I have it organized where I do sauna. A couple days a week, I do cold plunge, right? So I'm doing but it's habit. If I go on vacation, I was in Antigua last month, and guess where I was at 5:15, 5:30 in the morning at the gym, opening up the
I was
gym
on
at
spring
that
break,
gym.
and I will note that I put my habits out the window. So if you're not superhuman like Dr. Eric, it's okay.
But it's just because it's so
Yeah,
ingrained, right? But
I
could there be a day where I didn't? Yeah, if I'm up in the mountains hunting, like,
sure.
there's no gym at the mountains, but I'm doing physical stuff when I'm up there. But for the most part, it's a habit. A behavior would be more like I worked out for a couple of days, then I went on vacation. I didn't work out on vacation. I came back and I never got back to it, right? You went on spring break, you came back and you probably went right back into your routine because you're in the environment where you can do those things, and the habit is right there. So that would be different, right? So a habit versus behavior. Too many of us have lots of bad habits and a few good behaviors versus lots of good habits and a few bad behaviors. Because I always think you've got to, like, I'll tell my clients, like, listen, I don't want you to be perfect. What I want you to do is have a consistently good habits, 80% good habits, 20% bad behavior. It kind of keeps some balance, right? Because I want to do some things that maybe aren't the best for me, but they bring me happiness, they bring me joy, they help in a social situation. Great. That's what life's all about. But if the bulk of what somebody's doing is not gaining them towards their goals, their habits that aren't going to help them restore their thyroid physiology, restore their health in general, run the marathon, right? Or whatever it is, you're probably never going to get there, right? If your behavior, I exercise a little bit and I can't understand, or I trained a couple days and I couldn't do the marathon, right? Or I failed in the marathon, right? Because you had a behavior of training, you didn't have a habit of training. And that actually happened to me. I had been doing a bunch of marathons, and then I took a break and was doing something else. And I had my sister actually reach out to me to say, hey, you want to run this marathon with me and my girlfriends? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been training. And I was trained, sure, for half marathon. I could fall out of bed and do the half marathon. But for a full marathon, I was like, yeah. And then they worked on my pride. And so I show up at the race. I tell them, listen, I'm not doing it. They're still giving me grief. And I know I haven't trained to run the full marathon, but I get out there and I start running, and I'm feeling good. And at the halfway point, I'm like, forget it, man. I feel good. I'm taking this whole thing on. And about mile 13, I cruise right past mile 14, somewhere I cruised right past them. Right. And I'm like, see you, losers. And I just kept going. And I'm like, man, I am doing good. I can't believe this. I didn't even train, blah, blah, blah. Mile 18, I get the first muscle contraction. And it's like 35, 40 degrees at the Jersey Shore, running on the Jersey Shore. So right on off the water. It's raining, it's windy, it's cold. And now my body is starting to shut down. And by the time you start to get those first muscle cramps and fasciculations, you're already in trouble.
The lactate level is saying, nah.
Yeah. So I got to mile 19 or 20, and here come the gals. and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm not doing good. And by that point, you could actually start to see the fasciculations going up and down my legs. And by mile 22, 23, I am crumpled up on the side of the road, just totally tonic. Like I could not relax anything. Thank goodness somebody pulled up. Like I don't know where all the ambulance corps was at this point in time, but I'm in trouble. And the guy that I had met the night before, I see him and he's like, do I know you? I'm like, I need help. He's like he's trying to help me. He's like, what is wrong with your legs? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in cramps and spasm. And so he's like, what can I do? Should I take you to the hospital? I'm like, no, you're waiting for your wife. So wait for your wife. Just get me in a warm car and give me something to drink and give me some like bananas or something. So he starts he gets me in there and I am just a mess. And his daughter's looking like, Dad, he's got worms in his body because the muscles oh my gosh, I was in so much trouble. And so, I finished that. I get driven back to the end point of the race, and my sister's like, hey, we were just coming to find you. And I'm like, do you want to go get IV or something? I'm like, no, I'm recovering. I'm starting to recover now. I'm feeling better. And it was a life lesson, right? So I did not train. I did not plan appropriately. I was trained for a certain race, but because I didn't have that habit of in place and a plan to train to run a full marathon, even though I'd done many of them before that, but at that moment it wasn't part of the plan. And it came back to bite me hard, right? Yeah. So could I have run it if I slowed down and took my time? Yeah, probably, but I'm running at the pace that you run at. So habits, super duper important. So we'll have the habitual fitness questionnaire will be one of the questionnaires that'll come in this pack with all the questionnaires. So you can request these and you can look at on a 0 to 10 scale, you'll kind of answer a bunch of questions and you can get an idea of where your level of habitual fitness is. And then okay, this is an area. If you're at 8 to 10, you got lots of great habits and hey, I don't have a lot of work to do here. I need to maybe tweak a couple things, but if you're pretty low, I don't have a workout habit. I don't have a dietary habit. I just kind of wing every day. This is something you really need to work on. And you do need to know what you want, right? And you were talking about this before, like there's an old thing was like, be, do, have, right? Mm-hmm. People like, a lot of times we do have. Once I have what I want, then I'll do the stuff, right? And then I'll be that person, right? But the reality is you got to decide who you want to be. And then you have to do the things to achieve that person. And then you'll have what you want. Is that how that goes, I think?
Yep.
So you've got to plan out what it is that you want to achieve health in all your different health goals, relationships, physical fitness. You got to know what you want to achieve. And then you got to plan out those habits that are going to get you there. Right.
Yep.
And I think something that I recommend for clients is that they just kind of do a 3-day log. Like, what do I do on a regular basis from the time I get up to the time I go to bed? What do I eat? What do I drink? What am I watching TV? Am I on social media? How much time? Like, just track what you do for 3 days. And after 3 days, and then look at that and go, okay, I really want to be physically fit. Okay. Did I do anything to train my body physically? No. Okay. So what can I start to do? I really want to eat healthy. Okay. In the last 3 days, did the most of what I eat, was it healthy whole food? No. Okay. I got to make a change there. I want to spend more time with my wife to improve my relationship. Okay. Did I spend any time with her? Or I spent 2 hours on social media every day. Right. And then now you see why you're not where you want to be. So I think that 3-day log is really helpful.
Oh yeah, for sure. It just brings awareness. And I did that when we were writing the book and I had the manuscript. I was reading through the chapter on habits, which was life-changing. And I was like, it starts with awareness because you're just going throughout your day. So what I did is I I couple the things that I like to do like in my spare time when I think you think, okay, well, I work so hard, I'm going to spend 30 minutes like scrolling through Instagram. So what I do now is that I'll go get my PEMF mat and my red light, and I'll have those going for 10 minutes, and then I'll listen to that podcast, or I'll have that Instagram. I can't do Instagram when I'm on my red light, but I'm coupling things that I really love to do and that I would be usually sitting or doing. And so I'll do that when I'm on my rebounder, is that I'm jumping, and then I get some, if I want to go like on, Twitter or something, or X or whatever, I'm doing that and I'm coupling it to something that's really good for me. So you don't have to like give up everything, right? You need just some tweaks in it. And, if you're afraid of of exercise, like you don't want a horror story like Eric, where you're on the side of the road, with the circulations, it's like block off a set time and just do something. Just clean your house, or go walk around the block, or do something, and then you can evolve it. Like, okay, I committed to this time, I'm moving my body, and now I'm going to like get more structure. So you don't have to like come out guns a blazing like I'm going to go to a HIIT workout and go into again, something like Eric had to experience. So just like take it easy and build in the time, and then I think you can up what you're doing with that time.
Yeah, it's important to, as Kelly said, to be aware of what it is you're doing. That's why I think that 3-day piece is important. And then, once you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can make incremental changes. And we're talking about, hey, there's a lot of things we can do here, but I think the key piece here is that you're not going to go from 0 to hero overnight, right? So these are like,
okay. That's okay.
Small incremental changes. If you had to jack your house up 6 feet off the ground, right, you wouldn't jack up 1/4 at a time 6 feet, because it would destroy the house. If you try and make 0 to 10 changes in a category, it's probably going to create problems and create some challenges. So think about all of these things, not that you have to fully fix them, but that you need to just make small incremental changes, like jacking up the house. You would jack it up an inch to go to the next corner, jack it up an inch. So even with these key 5 principles, think, hey, what can I do this week for my mindset to improve it a little bit? What can I do for my habits to improve that a little bit? And same with all the other fitness factors we're going to talk about.
And just lastly, I think that really ties back to mindset, because if you look at your habits and you are doing everything for everyone else and you don't know how to say no, and your health is falling to the back seat, changing your mindset to value yourself, value your body, value your health will help you define the habits that will keep you healthy and make more time for yourself. Just coming from a woman who's pulled in a million directions, kids, husband, work and all of that, it's like, just value yourself and know that when you're taking time to work on yourself in any of these categories, especially like exercise and just restorative time, that's really important.
Yeah, you can't give what you don't got, right?
That's
so
right.
I think it happens more to women than to men, just because the nature of women as nurturers, like they feel like they've got to sacrifice themselves for everybody else. Meanwhile, the dude is like, I'm gonna take care of me. Like, and my wife and I had those conversations like, yeah, you're getting up and going to work out. I'm like, right, because that's a priority, right? Well, I'm getting up and making the kids breakfast. Like, yeah, well, let them make their own breakfast. They're old enough to do that, right? Like, they can do it, they will do it, and they'll take on habits and tasks. So I think that's really important what you said. You have to have that mindset that you have to take care of you. If you're in good health and good shape, you got a lot more time to give. The time that you're with the people, you're going to be in a better mood, better temperament. You're going to have more energy to do things with your kids and your family. So you have to prioritize self. I think sometimes we think that we're just being selfish when we do that. But in reality, and I guess there could be a degree, right? If I was playing rugby every week and hunting every weekend and doing all things, I was never spending time at home, and I'd said, well, I'm just taking care of me. There's a balance here, but taking care of your health, I think does take priority. These healthy habits that we're trying to instill especially with these 5 foundational ones, you got to take priority, and they're important. And I think it can rub off on your family too. If everybody knows that, hey, wow, mom's working out, making a priority workout, maybe I should be working out, or dad's
It's a
making a
really
priority
good
workout,
example.
right?
Yep, exactly. It is a good example. You're taking care of yourself.
And,
Not
and same for the mindset thing, right? Like dad's always pissed, nothing's going right. And no, that's the story. Look, the world's in chaos, right? Right. We got the orange guy in control. Like there people, if that's how you express yourself and your mindset's not great and you're expressing it out to the world, yeah, especially kids, I mean, they're going to learn from that experience, and they're going to probably develop kind of the same mindset, same habits, same behavior. So yeah, I think these things are really important, even more important when it comes to setting example for family.
For sure.
All right, next, I'll let you take the role, dietary fitness. What is that?
So the definition of dietary fitness is the level to which your diet and nutrition supports your ability to adapt, self-manage, survive, and thrive in your environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky one because I feel like this is one of the most controversial. It's like food wars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have so much divisiveness, and then you have so much research that supports both camps, and people just throw in the towel. They're like, I'm so confused. Am I supposed to be a vegetarian? Am I supposed to go ketogenic? And then I heard this and I heard this. And it is a debacle, right? That in of itself, dietary recommendations. And so, Eric, why don't you talk about the 4 foundational dietary principles? I think that's a good way to.
Yeah. So I think at the end of it, when we think about what's really important here, number one is kind of block out all the noise on the different diet religions and focus on, am I eating healthy, whole food, right? We can even have the discussion organic or inorganic, but primarily where I like everybody to start is, am I just focus on eating whole foods? If you spend more time, we'll go do that 80-20 principle again. Like if 80% of the food you're eating is whole food, not processed food, you're likely going to be much healthier, right? And people get caught up like, well, I was going to eat that way, but then I couldn't get the recipes, so I just went to McDonald's. Okay, but that's not how. Just pick something, and people find it really difficult. So eating healthy whole foods is critical for your dietary fitness. I would say number 2 is you got to prep and plan. Because if you don't prep and plan, then you get to the dinner time and you're like, I don't have time to cook this, or I don't have the stuff in the house, or man, I can't, it's too much to do at this point, right? So I think you have to have a plan, and a structured plan in place of what you're going to eat for the week, so that you shop appropriately, plan appropriately. And if you need to prep ahead of time meals, you can do that. And I think it's one of the big challenges that people just don't pay enough attention to.
Yeah, I see that this is a big issue, is that, this is a habitual issue as well. So if you put in the habit of making a menu, this is what I do personally, make a menu on Sunday, and then I have ChatGPT give me all the things that I need for my meals. And then I go to the grocery store and I buy those, and it's made my life so much easier. I mean, really I send the menu out to everybody on a text thread, and I say, there's 2 options here, guys, take it or leave it. So you'll see you, or I won't see you. And then it is, again, it's really creating the habit so that you don't have to have that pitfall of like, what are we going to eat? Because you're just gonna naturally go for things that are quick and easy. And unfortunately, those are not good for you, right? So I totally agree with you, Eric.
Yeah, and I think to build on that point, I mean, like if you can make this planning piece really easy, right? All you really need is like 21, 24 dinner meals,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
24 different things that you're going to have for lunch, 20 different meals for breakfast if you're having breakfast, right? And just rotate them. You don't really have to think hard. Like here's the recipes, and just, okay, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, right? Just, that's what it is, right? If a recipe you don't like, you can throw a new one in there periodically. If you like it, great. It becomes part of the rotation, but that way you're getting variability in your meals. You're not eating the same thing all the time. And you can stack those meals so that when you do go shopping, hey, I'm buying this ingredient, I can use it for this meal and this meal, and you're going to save a ton of money too. So you save time, you save money. And if you do what Kelly suggested, my wife, thank goodness, does all the shopping. I think she just gets frustrated when I go by myself because I either buy stuff that's wrong, buy stuff that we don't need, or she's like,
get that Y chromosome, it's fine.
Or I'm calling her like, where in the store is it located, right? But now if GPT spit out like what it is you need, right? And it makes a list for you. You can even call the grocery store now, right? Go online, submit your list. They'll pick it out at the store, and they can even deliver it for you. It's like, and some of these stores, I think, will pick it all for you for no charge.
Yep.
So it makes it really easy, and it limits the chance and the probability that you're going to divert to, we'll just go get some fast food to eat, right? Yep. And because it's quick, it's fast, it's easy. So I think we're on number 3 of the priorities. And one of those priorities is, if you're going to eat, one of the foundational principles, if you're going to eat. If you're going to be on the run, you don't need to eat. I see someone, I talk to so many people that are like, well, I don't have time to eat, so I eat this while I'm doing work, I'm eating while I'm driving, or I'm eating it here. Yeah, but for your body to break down and digest and use that food appropriately and get those micronutrients absorbed, you have to be in a state for digestion. If you're racing to your meeting, and you're stressed out, you could jam all that stuff down your gullet, but you're not going to produce the acids and enzymes that are going to break that food down appropriately. It's going to lead to food rotting in the GI tract, allowing bacterial overgrowth and creating gas and bloat and pressure and all kinds of fun GI problems that you really don't want. So if you're going to eat, make sure that that's what you're doing. You're sitting down, you're eating, you're taking your time, you're chewing your food, lots of chewing, right? More chewing than most people think they need to do. And you're putting yourself in that mindset that I'm just going to chill, I'm just going to relax, and I'm going to eat my meal. So that was number 3. And number 4, I think, goes back to the last thing I said, which is, so many of us, when we are eating, we are gulping down food fast. And for me, like, I grew up in a household where if you didn't eat fast, you didn't get stuff. Like, there wasn't that much, and everybody was going for it. So I really have to slow down to eat. So that becomes I think it's a priority. Just sit down, be in the right state, but also take time, chew your food. They talk about 20 chews per bite of food. Don't drink a lot of fluid with your meal, is my opinion. If you're thirsty during a meal, you're not chewing enough. So those would be like my 4 foundational principles. Do you think anything there that we missed?
No, I think those are great.
I do want to talk about, from a dietary standpoint, there is a lot of noise, especially in thyroid physiology. Like, there's a thyroid specific diet, and people make stuff up, and that's great. The intent's good, but I don't know that there's a thyroid specific diet, because it's not. Most people who have a thyroid disorder, what causes every individual person's thyroid issue is different. So what nutrition they need and what they need to address their issues may require a different type of diet. If you have SIBO, and that's creating problems in triggering cellular, tissue, glandular hypothyroidism, thyroiditis, then you might do better on a low FODMAPs diet, right? Temporarily, right?
Mhm.
If you've got chronic autoimmune conditions, some of those plant-based foods may not be the best for you, right? So there isn't a thyroid specific diet. That's nice marketing and you make nice books about that stuff, but there isn't necessarily a specific diet. If you want a thyroid specific diet, eat healthy whole food 80% of the time, eat very little processed food, and follow those 4 principles we already talked about. Good?
Yep.
All right. Let's go to physical fitness. So definition-wise, physical fitness is the ability to perform daily physical activities and be moderately adaptable to unfamiliar physical activities without fatigue, pain, or restriction of movement. It is the level to which your strength, flexibility, mobility, cardiorespiratory, and muscle endurance supports your ability to adapt, self-manage, survive, and thrive in your environment. It's the same ending for most of these, right? Or they should be for all of them. But physical fitness, like you could be, you don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the day, right? And to be physically fit, right? There's different definitions of physically fit, and how you look and your level of fitness is really going to be based on your environment and what you do and what you need to do on a daily basis. If I'm jacked, but I can't do basic yard work, am I really physically fit? I may look good. I mean, you see people all the time that are getting some exogenous help, right, to look really good, but they can't bend over. They can't do like, I can't lift. I got bad back. I can't do that. I can't do this. They can't, they couldn't jog around the block. So it really what we want physical fitness to do to allow us to be adaptable in the environment we're in, and pretty adaptable into a new environment, right? So if I go somewhere else and I got to chop a bunch of wood, I don't fall apart because I don't have the strength or stamina to chop some wood. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that when you talk about the appearance, so like about a year ago, I had this experience where it's like people were like, "Oh, you must work out all the time. You're so fit." And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm just very out of shape, and I'm more of like a skinny fat. And so, when you're looking at the physical fitness, it was like I could hardly go out and play with my 9-year-old. It was just at this point where I was like, I was just kind of in a rut sort of, and Dr. Eric helped me straighten that out. But what I'm saying is that it was, again, where I can get by, where people think I look healthy, and that I really needed to lean on some objective data. So I went and did a DEXA scan. My bones are okay, but my muscle mass was pretty low and my visceral fat was pretty high. And so I really like gauging like where we're at with fitness by you can get a trainer too to really help you so you stay safe. But I wanted to make sure that what I'm doing today, that it allows me to do the things that I love. And as Peter Attia says, like training for your marginal decade. I want to be able to pick up my grandkids. I want to be able to run with them. I want to be able to go biking with them. And so my physical fitness goals are to continue to be strong and healthy and support my bones, because obviously I'm a woman, but I don't want to bulk up. I don't want to look like that Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I want to be able, again, I want to have flexibility. I want to be able to put my own suitcase up in the airplane carrier at the top to the day I die, right? So it's like, that's kind of how I think about it too, is physical fitness. It's like, you do have to have habits, you have to have goals, but again, it's really, again, it's about being in the environment. I will tell you a quick story. We went on a spring break last year, and we went on this shark snorkeling tour, right? So we were swimming with sharks, okay?
Not the one where the shark goes in the tank with the
not
person
that,
in the
not that bad.
Okay. All
no,
right,
not that bad, but it really was. And then we were going to go see the coral, and we were going to go snorkeling the coral. And I'm out in the middle of the Caribbean, and it just hits me like I'm kind of getting winded, just being, and the waves are so high and everything. And I'm like, I'm only, 42 years old, and I really need to, if I want to do these things, I have to increase my VO2 max. And I have to get stronger. So ever since then, I was like, man, I'm going to drown here. I'm like, I need to get going. And then thinking like, if in 5 years, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm not even able to go on that boat excursion. I'm not going to be able to do the extraneous things. So I'm thinking like for the future outlook too. It's like I just have goals of maintaining the muscle mass, especially as we start to get older. You know, muscle is a longevity organ. I mean, it's bones and muscle don't get enough credit. Use your muscles again too to after meals. I'm always moving because your muscles are really taking up that extra glucose. So you just kind of learn like what your limits are. Now, I don't push myself to the point where I have like knee injuries or anything like that, but I would kind of like bring it back and look at, you know, you just like don't want to say like, I'm going to train for the marathon and not train properly and then end up hurting yourself, right?
Yeah. I think knowing where you are is
Yeah.
a good place to start. And again, if you look at, okay, my 3 days, what do I do on a regular basis? I don't have a physical fitness habit, routine, behavior, right? Then you know you're kind of starting low and you got to build up. The other thing is important, I think is important. And again, I typically give my clients a physical fitness questionnaire, like how often do you exercise? What's the frequency? Like, what do you do? And kind of go through that in pretty good detail. And I also give them a physical assessment test to take. And
Nice.
so it's based on a whole bunch of standards in the industry for like the squat test and the 12-mile run walk, right? Or the hang test, right?
Yeah.
So
2 minutes, people. You're supposed to hang for 2 minutes.
yeah, plank test, like there's criteria, like we can see, like if you're this age, this is what the standard should be. If you're this age female, this is standard. If you're this age male, this is the standard. And I get a lot of pushback of people like, I don't want to fill it out because I know I'm not going to pass. Well, that's the point. Like,
Yeah.
it's not to make you feel bad.
Oh, right.
It's to let you know what my starting point is so that next month when you take it again, those habits that you put in place, those incremental changes you made are making some headway. And it becomes really important with some of this stuff when, you know, somebody comes into care and they're, you know, they think their top priority is I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Your body is storing calories and toxins because it's under stress and it doesn't have the energy to detoxify those things. And your metabolism's down regulated so that energy gets spent for fight or flight. So that stuff is stored and you have to get healthy before you're going to lose the body fat. You can lose weight. We see that with GLP-1 drugs, right? You can lose weight, but a lot of those people are losing a good percentage of their muscle mass, right? So weight goes when the danger physiology goes away and you have the right habits, behaviors in place. So, but if you focus, and we use weight as a gauge, but you shouldn't use weight as the criteria. You should choose how you wear your weight versus what the weight number is. A lot of times people are focused like, I want to be 135. Okay, tell me why you want to be 135. Well, I was 135 when I was in high school and I look great and that's where I want to be. Okay, you're 55 now and you don't exercise, you don't do a bunch of things. Let's set a realistic idea of what might make sense for how you had extra body fat. So it makes sense if you lose 5 or 10 pounds, but if you were 145, but you fit in your clothes a lot better and you looked athletic, would that be okay? And if you were still 10 pounds heavier? Yes. Perfect. Then let's not shoot for the weight. When I'm having patients track weight and measurements, I just want to see that they're moving in the right direction towards a healthier body. I don't really care, you know, what the number is. And I try and get them not to care so much about the number, but we were talking about, the physical fitness piece, right? So where was I kind of got off track. What was I talking about there?
I could talk about the wearables too, because I have the loop strap and I have my Aura, no affiliation, unfortunately. For all the people who bought these, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we were talking about. Like doing that, you know, doing an assessment with some of these things will give you an idea of where you're at. And then it lets you know, hey, am I making incremental progress? That's the key. So we'll talk about the tracking devices, and this doesn't mean you have to go get these things, but these are tools that you can use. And then I want to talk to you about some of the objections and maybe solutions and maybe some strategies too. Okay. So talk about the wearables that you got first.
Okay, so when I started to really implement in, when I was like, I got to do something here, right? And I was a college level athlete, so I know how to work out. I spent 6 years in a gym, so I was like, I want to get back into this, but I don't want to hurt myself, and I don't want to push myself where I don't have enough recovery, right? Because recovery is so important. So my Whoop strap will tell me, did I overdo it yesterday? Do I need more recovery today? It kind of gives me a suggestion of maybe just do your zone 2 today. And zone 2 is basically doing some sort of exercise. You could be on a bike, you could be walking, you could be jogging, where you can still talk, but it's hard to talk. So if I'm going to get on my Peloton and just ride, I'm riding and my heart rate's like around 140, I think, where I'm really getting my zone 2 in, but yet I'm not doing like a HIIT workout because I've had a history of where I overdid HIIT workout and I gained so much weight. I mean, like I was like, what is going on? Like I was over just doing it. And I think people get into that. Like I'm exercising and I'm eating right, but well, you're stressing, you're actually putting more cell stress into the mix there. So I really like the wearables to help guide and be specific about capacity. And again, like where I'm at when I'm doing a workout, like where's my heart rate? Is that appropriate for my age?
Yeah, and the heart rate is one of those things. If you have some type of wearable device that tells you what your heart rate is, it keeps you in more an aerobic state. Some people call it zone 2. And if you're trying, especially if you're trying to lose some body fat, there's not really an issue with doing short, intense, what they call HIIT type exercise, but they should be short, right? They should be under 20 minutes of exercise with warm up. But if you're truly trying to train cardio, as everybody talks about, you really want to be doing aerobic cardio to burn fat, because fat burns best in an aerobic environment. And for that, you need to be in zone 2 or your aerobic heart range, and these devices will help you do it. For years, I ran by feel. And we've had this discussion before, like you just run by feel because that's how you grow. We didn't have devices when I was a kid to track it. You just ran by feel, the harder, the better. And when I had my enlightenment in my 40s, when I went and had my blood work done, I'm like, I got Hashimoto's, I got insulin resistance.
Somebody's
like I got
overdoing it.
Yeah, but I looked at my diet, and my diet's good. A lot of my habits are good. I did not sleep a lot, but then when I started digging into like heart rate and reading things like Phil Moffattone's work, I'm like, I am way over that. And if you're out of your aerobic range for a period of time in your training, you stay out of that aerobic range. And so you lose the ability. Most people, if they're going for a run or walk, are trying to just lose body fat, but they're probably not doing the right thing, just like you and I did. I'm running for health and fitness, but I didn't realize I was actually creating more stress response on my physiology. And I could get away with it when I was 20 and 30, but as you get older, you don't have the same adaptability and capacity. So really, really important there. So there are tools. Heart Oura Ring is one thing. You got the Whoop strap. There's BioStrap. There's a bunch of these things. There's tons of different devices. You don't have to have them, but I do think if you're going to be doing especially long cardio, get some type of a heart rate monitor so that you can make sure you stay in your aerobic range. And from a simple standpoint, I usually give my clients, I just use 170 to 180 minus your age is kind of a rough area of where you should be. And most people are like, I'm like 20 points over that. I'm like, yeah, that's why you're creating more cortisol. That's why you're creating more challenges. That's why you got more belly fat. That's why you got a muffin top. So things to worry about. So there's people who will say, Kelly, well, I don't have time to exercise. So how would you answer that? I know how I would do it, but how would you answer somebody who says, I just don't have time to do it?
I would say, I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. But if you want to have a long, healthy life, if you want to have a long health span and support your body, you're going to have to make time. And you're going to have to decide what you choose. You do have a choice. You don't have to exercise, but it is going to catch up with you. 100%. And so ball's in your court.
Yeah. And I would add, I would just tell them, do you have a minute today? Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then give me 60 seconds of doing squats. Okay. Did you do it? Yeah. Fit into your day, didn't it? Yeah. Okay. Tomorrow, give me 1 more minute, right? You don't have to start with an hour of workout every day. You can start with 30 seconds, 60 seconds, right? And then just incrementally add 1 more minute, and you'll start to realize that, hey, I do have more time and I'm starting to feel better, and I can do more, and I can do more, and I can do more. The same for somebody who says, I don't feel well, so I don't do any activity. Listen, exercise has so many positive values. It'll help you with sleep. It'll help you with your neurotransmitter regulation. It'll help you with sex hormone regulation. It'll help you with gut function and gut physiology. There's so much benefit to it that even if you don't feel well, you can do the same thing. Start with 30 seconds. I'm going to do 30 seconds of sustained activity. I'm going to go to 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And for the person who's super busy and works in an office and I don't have time or whatever, do exactly what Kelly does. We talked about it in the book. I call it like 20, you can call it 20-minute fitness, 40-minute fitness, 30-minute fitness, but every 20, 30 minutes, just do, 30 seconds, do 5 push-ups one day. You could do today, I'm going to just do push-ups. Every 30 minutes, I'm going to have my timer go off. I'm going to do 5 push-ups. I can't do push-ups. Okay, do push-ups off your step, but just do them. Well, what if I miss 30 minutes? One of the 30, who cares? Move on to the next one. By the time you get to the end of the day, if you did it 10 times, that's 50 push-ups you did for that day that you hadn't ever done before. Take the win, move on. The next day, pick an exercise. I'm going to do air squats like Kelly was saying, right? Do 5 air squats every 30 minutes or every 40 minutes. Set your timer. You need the anchor, something to remind you to do it, because we all get sucked into our stuff. But schedule something. If you're not dedicated time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in a set time every day, then definitely do this 20 or 30-minute fitness piece, and you'll be surprised at how much you got done in the period of a day. Right? Or make an agreement with yourself. Before I check Instagram, right, I got to do 5 push-ups, right? You'll probably do 1,000 push-ups in the day, right? So you can do it. Everybody can do it. And if you don't feel well, just start slow and incrementally. Just think about these things like you're jacking up your house. You're making small incremental changes in all the fitness factors, but definitely these 5 foundational 5 are the places to start. Kelly, we got one more: sleep fitness. Let's talk about that, and then we can wrap this puppy up. So
Sleep fitness is my favorite. So
I'm going to let you take it. Go for it.
Okay. So our definition: a dynamic, recurrent, reversible state where the awareness to the external environment is reduced in favor of the internal environment. So cellular physiology can focus on repair, repletion, regeneration, and recovery. Sleep fitness is the level to which your sleep sessions, both quantity and quality, allow for optimal repair, repletion, regeneration, recovery. So it is a level to which your sleep sessions support your ability, again, to adapt, self-manage, survive, and thrive. I mean, there are those people who can actually sleep 5 hours and be okay. They are very rare that's actually, I think that's a genetic clock mutation where they can actually meet their needs. But I have to have 8 hours of sleep. I track my sleep. I treasure my sleep. I do everything I can to optimize my sleep. And I use these wearables to tell me what I did during the day, what I did the other day, where do my habits, are they supporting my sleep or are they hindering my sleep? And if we're not sleeping properly, if we're not getting the quantitative, the deep sleep, the REM where we're cleaning our brain, the lymphatics are going in, if we're not getting that REM and we're just in light sleep and we're having sleep disturbances, it's going to affect every cell in your body negatively.
Yeah, it's so important. And some people think they only need 4 hours of sleep. I was one of them and probably did that for a decade or two of just like 4 hours of sleep per night, because I was hanging around with people who were like, you can sleep when you're dead. 4 hours, that's your 4 a.m. club, right? Everybody was getting up at 4 a.m. and you're staying up late to do stuff, and then you're getting up early and you're hustle. And I thought I was managing too until I did those labs and found, glucose resistance and elevated cortisol and hormones are messed up and immune issues and autoimmune issues. And you're like, how did I get here? You know how you get there? You didn't allow for rest and recovery.
That's
And
right.
just the lack of rest and recovery triggers cell stress, cell danger. Disrupted sleep and poor sleep quality, that will just downregulate your T4 to T3 conversion. You want to think about science, and is there any science to this whole thing? Absolutely. There's tons of science around how disrupted sleep or inappropriate levels of sleep triggers chronic stress and inflammation on your physiology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then we have to look at sleep hygiene, of course. We have to look at, are you not staring at your screen, are you in bed and staring at your screen? So you really have to protect yourself from that blue light, which will throw off your circadian rhythm. It'll suppress your melatonin. You need a dark, cold room, right? That's what you need. You need a night. I mean, there's so many gadgets out there, like there's that cool sleep or whatever, where it takes your temperature down at night, but really it's not a gimmick. It really is important to have that sleep hygiene. Try and not get riled up before bed. Don't watch things like the NCAA tournament and have your whole bracket on the line when, you know, Houston's supposed to win. And then, I mean, I slept like crap that night, but it's really just treat it like it is just absolutely critical to your health, because it absolutely is.
Perfect. Yeah. And it is, it's a non-negotiable. I mean, you
100%.
have to improve it. And then people will say, well, I just don't sleep well. But there's lots of strategies to improve it. And a lot of the things that create an inability to go to sleep are based in these 5 foundational principles, right? If you don't have a healthy mindset and you're going to bed in worry mode or upset about the way the day went, or you have a bad habit of sitting on your phone and searching Instagram until right before you want to go to sleep, and like, now I can't get to sleep. Like, all of these things we talked about before help with improving your sleep fitness. And so you've got to put situations in place. You got to prep to go to bed about the same time every day. You got to get up at the same time every day. If you exercise, get outside in the morning if possible. Exercise every day. All these things will start to improve sleep habits or sleep quality when you have healthier sleep habits. But these other things all build on it. When you eat, how you eat, what you eat can have a huge effect on your quality of sleep. Alcohol, not alcohol, all these things have a big influence on how you sleep. But if you don't sleep, you can't repair, regenerate, and recover. And so you have to do these things. So all of these are things that are really important for you to heal and recover. So if you're not working with anybody, you've got some health challenges, just pick up the book, The Thyroid Debacle, number 1. Number 2, work on these 5 foundational fitness factors and start just making some incremental improvements. If you want the questionnaires that go with these, we'll have wherever the podcast is, and in my Instagram, we'll have a link. You'll just ask for, we'll use we'll have something that notify you, like, hey, DM me on my Instagram foundations, and then you can get, we'll message you or email you these questionnaires so that you can have them. And then you can assess your own level of health in these areas, and then you can start using some strategies to start to improve them. And there's tons of them. I mean, for my clients, I give them tons of recommendations that go with all these questions. Like, question 1, you're not very good in that one. Okay, here's some strategies to improve that one. But there's lots of advice out there, but these are foundational things, non-negotiable things that you need to start working on, and they're all essentially free, right? I don't think it costs you anything differently. You're going to buy food anyway. You might as well buy healthy food. It doesn't cost you anything to exercise. You don't need to go to the gym. You can do it all in your home, right? Sleep doesn't cost you anything. You just go do it. Mindset, no cost there. And what was the other one? What did I miss? Habits. Yeah, they don't cost you anything. Well, they can if they're bad ones, right? They can
Yes.
really cost you big time.
That's
So
right.
I think we did a good job, Kelly. We got through these things. These are all actionable things that people can work on a regular basis. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. If you have questions or comments, obviously reach out to me. You can comment wherever the video comes out, you can do it. And you can also probably the best place right now to reach out to me, go to my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, send me a message on Instagram. We are in the middle of a kind of a transition and rebrand. So the website currently is still there. We're going to change it a little bit. We got some big surprises coming up in the next couple months. So for anybody who's listening, stay tuned for those. Maybe some things that'll help you out with all of these things that you can do on your own, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. So Kelly, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll have to get you back to talk about more of these fitness factors in the future.
Thanks, Eric.
You got it.